The Freedom Convoy absolutely dominated the Canadian news cycle this year, and it entered all of our hearts like a truck roaring down the highway. It is no exaggeration to say that the Freedom Convoy 2022 changed the course of Canadian and world history. Thousands, tens of thousands of Canadians, with the support of hundreds of thousands and millions of people around the world, gathering in peace in Ottawa and around the country to say to the government, it is time to change direction, and it is time to end the mandates. It was an example on how to have a peaceful and effective protest. And there's no other story that was bigger in Canada than the Freedom Convoy. It absolutely dominated. And we're going to go through it as quickly, but as good as I can. I worked up some research, so right away, here's the intro scene. It's just a guy in a crowded street in Ottawa holding Freedom Convoy 2022. And it looks like it might be on a hockey stick or a windshield or a window washing pole extension thing. Whatever that might be, and then fight for freedom. This was the scene that you saw during the Freedom Convoy. Beautiful. But before you understand why the Freedom Convoy became a thing, you need to understand what the situation in Canada was like leading up to the Freedom Convoy. In Canada, we had some of the world's harshest mandates that just drove people crazy. We couldn't take it anymore. We had written our prime minister. We had written our premiers. Everything that we could do in the democratic process, we did. We had protests at the legislators. No one was listening. First reading, Canada's Omicron lockdowns among world's harshest. So, and then you could see almost none are locking down quite as hard as Ontario and Quebec. Some countries are currently experiencing record-breaking cases. Both Canadian provinces have closed schools and imposed blanket bans on indoor dining, gyms, and bars. And we know what all of this did to people. It really messed them up. And that's why it was necessary for the Freedom Convoy. Look at these beautiful scenes. People, Canadians, coming together in unity, packing overpasses, packing the side of the highway with all kinds of signs. Like that one right there, and flags galore. A beautiful scene of Canadian unity. A beautiful, peaceful, effective protest. Look at this. Tractors in Ontario, I believe, lining up. The farmers for freedom. They were there. They showed up. They got us our food, and they get us our freedom too. God bless them. Then here's another scene from Ottawa. Packed streets and a beautiful sign with a message that you need to hear, that you need to share. Thank you, truckers. And seriously, thank you guys. So many of them lost their CVOR, their license, just so that they could be in Ottawa. And they made a promise to people that they would never leave. And I'm going to talk about a few people in particular who I want to mention later on who never did leave, because there's still work to be done. But beautiful, unity, peaceful. Thank you, truckers. We can never say it enough. Thank you so much, truckers. Thank God for mother truckers. Absolutely. More beautiful scenes, cars lining the sides of overpasses packed with Canadians. While there were tens of thousands in Ottawa, there were hundreds of thousands greeting them across the country. An amazing outpouring of support. Over $20 million raised in under a month on GoFundMe and GiveSendGo. All of that money, by the way, the vast majority of it from Canada, a little bit from the US and a little bit from elsewhere, but the vast majority from Canada. And most of that money never made it to the convoy from Canadians who are allowed to support with their dollars and their minds and their voices causes that they believe in that are important to them. They're allowed to do that. That's their democratic right. Look at this. This is Milk River or Coots. Beautiful Albertans coming together, doing what needs to be done. And we know that the emergency vehicles and everybody else had access. When the mayor of Coots testified at the Emergencies Act Commission, he said that 70% of his town, the town of Coots, supported the Freedom Convoy, and that old grannies, God bless them, were coming up to him and telling him, oh, if you're going to testify at that Emergencies Act hearing, make sure to tell them that we were never impacted at all. But of course, there was some people who were upset by it. But at the same time, we could see that it was by and large extremely peaceful, very effective, amazing. And let's just take a quick look at what it looked like, what it sounded like as the convoy was making its way across Canada. Beautiful. Look at that. As far as the eye can see, Steinbeck, Manitoba, there are Hutterites there and Mennonites, and as lined up as far as you could see, but just regular Canadians, set us free again. Not most of these people, the vast majority of them never made it to Ottawa, but they were there in Ottawa with the truckers. You bet that they were. Beautiful, beautiful. Let's go. I'm still processing all of this. I'm still processing all of this. Beautiful. Those truckers felt the love of the nation, I'll tell you that much. They sure as heck did. The parts that some people might call flyover country, but they matter. They matter as much as anyone else, and their voice was heard. Here we got more truckers with the Freedom on the loader. That's beautiful. Flag of Alberta in the back there. Here we got some more overpasses lined with people with all those maple leafs. There's a Union flag in there for some reason, but Canada was, a part of the British Empire. It's a part of our culture. And then we also have this here, the horses in Alberta, absolutely majestic, over the prairies coming through, bringing food, great. And then we could see that how much this protest impacted people around the world. Look at this, people waving the Canadian flag all over the world. This, by the way, a beautiful video, a powerful tribute to the Freedom Convoy by JB24 from Live from the Shed. He re-uploaded it. Go and watch this if you never have, if you want to shed a tear. This is a beautiful compilation. Just go and watch it. Look at this beautiful Canadian flags everywhere. Look at these Canadian flags in the Netherlands, us and the Dutch. Look at them, so many of them. The Dutch and us, the Canadians, have always had a really good relationship, and they really appreciated us again. The whole world was in the same boat, and we set the shining example for the world here in Canada. Latvia, everywhere you sit, Italy stands with Canada. This is beautiful. You've never seen anything like this. Israelis wearing the Canadian flag. Hungarians wearing the Canadian flag. Everywhere you looked in Greece, France, Germany. When's the last time you saw maple leafs flying in these countries? Look at how proud people recognized what these truckers were putting on the line and the people supporting them to get freedom back, not just for our country, our beautiful Canada, but for the whole world too. Let's look at more of this. And we can see our beautiful Quebecers coming together, celebrating with us, French and English unified at the Freedom Convoy, Alberta and Quebec brothers under Confederation to liberate our country, our beautiful true north, strong and free, with everyone from coast to coast to coast, with every language, together in unity and love, to stand up to our government and demand change. The Freedom Convoy dominated. Look at this, beautiful Quebecers. The overpasses as the East Convoy made its way to Ottawa. Ottawa absolutely packed with our beautiful Quebecers, Albertans, Manitobans, Saskatchewanian. I don't know how to say Saskatchewanians, British Columbians, everybody, just everywhere. And it absolutely beautiful scenes. Here we got the Windsor protest going on. Beautiful. Peace, love, freedom, mandate for all, freedom. Beautiful. And then the trucks, the people on the side of the road, just loving everything. Beautiful. Beautiful. Look at this, Milk River or Coots again, with beautiful. And look at the side of the roads, everything. Hold on. Look at that. Look at those beautiful people at the side of the road. Thank you. Thank you. That's all you need to see. And as far as the eye can see, the trucks and the cars lined up. And here are those beautiful horses coming into Milk River, Coots. Look at them coming in with all the food and all the majesty and food and everything you could ever want. Canada's a beautiful place when we come together, folks. I'm just trying to make through it. Look at all these tractors in Ottawa. I believe, yeah, this is definitely Ottawa. And this was a beautiful moment when they fenced off the war memorial and the veteran said, no, this is our memorial. We're going to take care of this place. We're taking these fences away from this tomb of the unknown soldier from the National War Memorial in Ottawa. It was a beautiful moment watching these veterans come together and liberate their monument. Beautiful, amazing. And again, the gas cans, the symbol of the resistance, truly. And there's the shed truck live from the shed. And this was right at Wellington and Metcalfe, right in the heart of the protest. The trucks lined up everywhere. Beautiful. And here, look at that nice night scene. People as far as the eye can see. And just get us an idea of how many people were there. So many people. Look at Parliament Hill, packed. The streets packed. And then you had all the cross streets, Slater, Albert, Laurier, all packed with people. Beautiful, beautiful. Queen, just packed with people. Amazing Canadians coming together. And there's this person called Trek on Facebook who's doing this beautiful art. You can go follow them on Facebook. They're drawing these beautiful scenes from the convoy. A lot of people here I recognize. I miss. There's James Topp when he finally completed his march and made it to the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. A beautiful moment. Here's when the veterans lined up. Beautiful. Here's Trek, their page, Trekking with Fire. Follow them. Here, and of course, we got to thank the organizers. We got Big Red, Chris Barber, Bridget Belton, Tamara Leach, Pat King, and here's a picture of me from January 27th. And to talk about the organizers for a second, yes, they facilitated things. They got the donations coming in. They set up the corporations, but it was the people standing up for fellow Canadians, for each other, coming together in love and unity that made the Freedom Convoy what it was, that made it great, and they came together and they made it happen. Yes, there were the big personalities. There was Chris, there was Pat, there was Tamara, there was BJ Dichter, there was Bridget Belton, there was a lot of other people. There was so many good people involved in this operation. There was Tom Marazzo, but it was the people of Canada who just poured their love, their heart, and their soul into this that made it so effective, and it was so peaceful. It was the best that Canada had to offer, that the best that we can do together when we come together in unity. French and English, Canadians from every creed, Sikhs, every single person you can imagine was there. Canada was well represented in the Freedom Convoy. There was a lot of lies in the media, but it was just a beautiful array of everyday Canadians who needed to stand up and tell their government, enough is enough. It's time for this to end. And that's what they did. They did it absolutely beautifully. And again, special thanks Chris Barber with his beautiful truck Big Red there, who did a lot in getting this going. Bridget Belton and Chris Barber together really lit the fire on this thing. Tamara Leach was the face of the convoy, you could argue. She handled the GoFundMe and really got people to rally behind it. Pat used his influences to get people going and getting them lined up to come to protest peacefully, which was amazing and very effective. And me and my buddy were driving down Wellington Street. This is right in front of Parliament, back before when you actually could drive on Wellington Street. And I remember, I knew that this convoy was coming. I learned about it in probably around January 22nd, 23rd. I was working at the time, and I knew that they would be coming. I didn't know how big it was going to be. So me and my buddy, we used to go through car rides, and I got to the Parliament, and there was a small group of people, 20, 30 people maybe. And I said to my buddy, hey, this must be those people. Let's stop and go talk to them. And he's, shy. He's like, no, I don't want to do that. We did. We stopped and we went and talked to them, and it was beautiful. I'm so glad that we did that. I spent about 3 hours there. I had my little flag in my car, "Don't tread on me." I was waving that throughout the whole convoy. So if you ever see me in videos, this was before I was making videos, making content. I was just a regular guy. I'm still just a regular guy. I wasn't there to make videos or pictures. I was there to protest. I was there to feel the love, share the love. So if you ever see me in any of the videos from like Travel Fund 69 or maybe Viva Fry, I might be wearing this yellow jacket with that flag or a maple leaf. So that's something you can look forward to or look for. And if you want, you can check out my TikTok. The first video I ever posted under Patriot Smoothies on my TikTok. It's me waving this flag at the intersection somewhere on Metcalf. Well, a bunch of people were dancing to Bob Marley. I think it was One Love. I'll link that in the description. If you want to see some more of my adventures from the Freedom Convoy, I'll link the videos that I did film at the convoy in the links below, so you can go and see my adventure there. And you can also go and see my early TikTok videos if you're interested in that. And just more scenes. And so we're thanking all the organizers. We've already listed them. I also want to thank especially just you, the viewer, the people who watched the streams, liked the shares, liked the streams, commented, who donated their hard-earned money, who donated their time, who spoke to their family about what they were really seeing online, the people who actually went and protested at their legislators or at the protest sites or at Parliament Hill, and who together made this work, who were peaceful, who maintained law and order, and who demonstrated how effective peaceful protests could be in a truly uniquely Canadian way. And it changed the course of history. There's a lot of people who say it didn't do anything. Yes, it did. So first of all, Alberta COVID-19 measures with restrictions, exemptions, with its restrictions exemption program now over. So that was announced February 8th. What was happening on February 8th? Well, it was the Freedom Convoy, and people were reacting at the time saying that they were so upset that the Freedom Convoy had this much influence. We know that Erin O'Toole, the Conservative Party leader, was fired during the Freedom Convoy for being very milquetoast towards it, and a lot of the Conservatives recognized that it was their base on the street. So when Erin O'Toole was milquetoast and was, even condemning it at different points, people were like, people within the party realized that they needed to get rid of this guy. So Erin O'Toole was out February during the Freedom Convoy. So the Freedom Convoy got him fired. Saskatchewan, COVID-19, mandatory masking to remain until end of the month. So everything was coming to an end very quickly. So you can see that things moved very quickly during the Freedom Convoy because of the Freedom Convoy. You see this is posted February 8th. Here's CTV again. Manitoba following suit. Manitoba following suit, dropping restrictions by March. This was posted February 11th in the heart during the peak of the protests. So we have this going, and you can also see that Ontario on February 15th announced that it was easing restrictions. All of this was because of the Freedom Convoy. Look at this. Newfoundland to eliminate restrictions, move out of pandemic phase by March 14th. Province to drop mask mandate and limits on gatherings. February 16th during the heart of the protest. Nova Scotia, restrictions easing next week, fully lifted March 21st. So Nova Scotia is moving up the timeline for easing public health restrictions and will end all restrictions on March 21st, posted the 23rd of February. And then we can see New Brunswick was doing it too, posted 24th of February. So all these provinces recognized that it was time, and it was because of the Freedom Convoy moving things along. Nova Scotia says it right. Nova Scotia says it best. Moving up the timeline. In a lot of cases, people will argue that these timelines were all announced. No, they weren't. You'll find nothing with these dates on them in any of the plans. There were vague timelines of when things will happen. But as we saw during the actual last few years, every time, for example, in Ontario, a date would be announced that we'd move forward or we'd undo something, that was always moved back and moved back and moved back. The Freedom Convoy made those dates set in stone, and they made them happen a heck of a lot sooner. So thank goodness for that. And here's a video I made at the time.
So everyone is familiar with the left-wing.
So here's a video I made during the Emergencies Act Commission, which we'll talk about more later, with some revelations that came out where the federal government actually admitted that it was the protest doing all of this.
Conspiracy theory that the protests had nothing to do with ending the mandates, that they were all going to end themselves anyways. Well, that's just not true. There was quite a juicy text message shared at the POEC today. It came out that the government of Ontario was pivoting on their policy decisions because of the protests. To everyone who protested in January and February, thank you so much for everything you did to make Canada a freer country again. Thank you for remaining peaceful, lawful, and using your democratic rights effectively to motivate change in government, as is your democratic right to do so as protesters. We already have heard buckets of evidence that Alberta and Saskatchewan ended their mandates because of the protests, and the timelines corroborate that. But to get these juicy inside texts about pivoting and that they're lifting the mandates is just beautiful. It's a chef's kiss. Thank you so much for everything you did, and to the poor conspiracy theorists on the left, I'm sorry, man, this is another fat L for you. February 11th, 2022.
So Ford called the federal government and told them that they were pivoting, that they were going to ease their restrictions because of the protest. Just like everybody else, just like Newfoundland, just like Nova Scotia, just like New Brunswick, just like Manitoba, just like everybody else, just like absolutely everyone. Just like Ontario, Saskatchewan, Alberta, they all did it. Now, there was a few holdouts like the federal government itself and the province of Quebec. I'll talk about that later. The government of Canada held out as long as they could out of spite because of how much this injured their ego. The protest injured their ego, that so many people with so much money, $20 million plus, were against them and their policies. It really slighted them, and they just can't take it because they have such massive egos. They can't handle being challenged democratically and peacefully. So Freedom Convoy. So now I'm just going to quickly address the fact that the Freedom Convoy 2 is moving to Winnipeg. It's going to be happening this February in 2023. So February 17th to February 21st, 2023, there's going to be Freedom Convoy 2. It's going to be happening in Winnipeg at the Legislature, I believe. Now, what I want to say about this is if you're going to attend this, fully support peacefully protesting. The work is not done. The Freedom Convoy moved things along and got us out of being, one of the most locked down places in the world. Thank God for the Freedom Convoy, but there's still a lot of stuff to do. There's still accountability issues. There's still a lot to do. So if you're going to go and protest in Winnipeg, that is your legal right. You're protected by the Canadian Bill of Rights, and you're protected by the Charter, and you're protected by common law. You have all the protections in the world to go and peacefully protest in Winnipeg. So if that's something you want to do, go ahead. I want to recommend, if you're interested in that, to follow Colin Big Bear Ross on TikTok or Facebook, wherever he is. Amazing guy, Colin. Or you can go and follow Ron Clark, Freedom Advocate, on Facebook. He's talking a lot about what's going on. And also Mr. Freedom will be going there. So you can follow any of these guys and check it out. Again, if you want to see my videos from the Freedom Convoy, I'll link them in the description so you can go and watch those if you want. And the last thing I want to go out with is this, the beautiful sound of the protest. Beautiful. I want to thank every Canadian who worked so hard to make this all happen, to who came in peace and unity and who made their voice heard and got our country out of a very bad spot. Thank you so much for being peaceful. Thank you for being lawful. And thank you for freeing our country and giving us our rights and freedoms back again. God bless you. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year's.